choose a page or panel from American Born Chinese that you really like, or one that you don't like, and discuss what it means and why you chose it. What is the significance of your choice, and how does it relate to the rest of the graphic novel as a whole? You may analyze the formal techniques the author uses, such as, okay, you guys, it's just like saying you can use the stuff in the panel to analyze it. It's really well. It's so
Alright, I'll start. I like page 48. It shows the panel where Chinky is announced into the book. And this is where like he bashes through the door, and it's like one big huge panel on the whole page. And we can just tell by the size of his body and how he had one full panel that he was going to be an important character in this book. His head size is also large if you look at it. And to me, that just like symbolizes that he's gonna be loud and kind of like obnoxious almost. And then as well as these stereotypical like the takeout boxes in the background, we can just like right from the bat, you know that Chinky is supposed to be a character that's supposed to be laughed at. As well as the camera angle. The camera angle is like super low to the ground looking up at him. And I took that as like a way where he's gonna try to be like the bigger person, or not the bigger person, but like he's gonna try to be the dominant one over Danny later on in the book, where he tries to like humiliate him, not saying that he's gonna do it on purpose, but I just thought that was important, as well as like the text being bold, saying that he's like yelling it almost.
I said like the opposite thing of you almost, is like I use like the same section of book, except I use like page 43. It's like the, I'd say like probably the title screen of the sitcom almost, or whatever, where it's like everyone rubs Chinky. I said the reason I didn't like this was because like how many stereotypes is able to portray in such like a little like page. Like you had the buck teeth and like the braided head, then the R's with the L's and so on, and you guys all know what I'm talking about, but and I think it's just like how many stereotypes that showed in just a little page is like insane. And then, but I mean, I guess it's good because it gets the point across of the book.
The page I chose was page 78, and that was the page where we see CEO to his hand in space, and it has the Monkey King's writing and then his key on it. And I think like just like from it being like the whole page, I think it shows like how important it was, and like it was also significant because it showed the Monkey King that while he was away, that like the like god or whatever was there the whole time. And like it was cool how like the 5 pillars like, represented his fingers, and like on the bottom of the panel we see like repeating pictures of him like with the shocked face, and it like bled off the picture, like the page, and like that's just like showed like how surprised he was, and like how like what happened like made him change his views. And like this relates to the whole story because the Monkey King thought he was equal to the heavens, and like no one was above him, but like that kind of showed the opposite.
My favorite page was 72, where the Monkey King was flying away on his little cloud from that god, old man guy. He like flies past the edges of the universe, and like you can see like space like turning into like the white on the page, and then he like breaks out of the panels, like out of reality itself. I thought that was neat.
My favorite page was page 213, when you find out that Chinky was actually the Monkey King, because up until that point all of the stories were kind of separate. That's when it finally like ties all of the stories in the book together, and so I just really liked how it did that. And like you find out that the Monkey King is actually Chinky, and that his son is Jin Yang, I think, or Jin Wang. So that was just really cool.
My favorite panel was on page 121, where Danny was walking by kids in the high school, and they were like making the squinty eyes and everything. And like I just thought it was really important because it shows like how discrimination is everywhere, and it shows like if even in his high school, like other kids are doing it as Chinky passes by, and like some of the things like that the author used to like portray this was like the speech bubble wasn't dash blind, so like you knew they were whispering and try to like conceal it, but that didn't necessarily work because Danny still like noticed it, and it still like upset him. You could see on his facial expression it was like he was angry about it, but he didn't say anything. He just walked by, and like the bottom panel was really big, and you could see like the murmurs from the kids, and Danny was just walking away, and he didn't say anything about it. And like I thought it was really important to see that because like to be honest, like I chose it because I've done that before, and like it shows like how discrimination is evident in like all spaces, and it just like it was a reality check for me.
I really liked page 160. This was when the Monkey King and the monk were like off in the distance walking away, and then the monk's shoes were right in front of you. And this page is significant because it's the last page in the chapter, and the Monkey King turned back to his original self.
A panel that I chose was page 207 when Chinky was fighting Greg. I think that panel did a good job and like showed who Chinky really is, because like he gave like Greg, he like kept begging Greg to stop, but Greg wouldn't stop. So finally like he like started fighting him, and like he knew how to fight, and I feel like that's just a typical stereotype, like all Chinese people or Asian people can fight and do that well.
The panel that I liked was on 114 where Chinky was eating the fried cat, and like it showed that how the chapter or whatever that story was gonna be like super racist or whatever, and really stereotypical against Chinese people, and it showed like how people like really see him, and like in the background it showed the two dudes throwing up, so it showed how they really see him and like that kind of stuff.
I chose panel 1 on page 105, and it's like part of the, like, it's the panel where like Jin is asking Amelia out, and I just like it because like it shows like the lightning bolts, like when he gets like the confidence, and I feel like that played like a big role like throughout the entire book, because like every time that you saw that, it meant like he was overcoming like what people thought about him, and like was kind of becoming more okay with like who he was, and like was confident in himself. And like also like how the back of like the panel is kind of like fuzzy, like because like he doesn't really remember the experience because it was kind of a blur because he was nervous. Like I just thought it was kind of funny, like that it showed how nervous he was, like even in the picture.
My favorite panel was on page 196 when Jin transforms into Danny for the first time, and he like turns on the light, and in the mirror he's like Danny, because it kind of explains like earlier in the book when Melanie was talking to Danny about how like his buck teeth were starting to show through, and like because he's actually Asian, and that's like a stereotype of them. And then it also shows, it like sets it up for later in the book on page 214 when Danny changes back to Jin after he realizes like he was good and like he was.
My favorite page was page 150, panel 1. It's when the Monkey King shrinks back to normal size, resembling his acceptance to being himself. He sighed in his speech bubble, so he was like, he didn't want to like accept himself. He wanted to keep being stubborn and believe that he was better than everybody else, but he finally accepted it. It also showed the rocks crumbling to show that his change moved the foundation of who he thought he was. It showed like the 3 monkeys to show the shrinkage, and I think it was important because it was the first acceptance of the book, and it like the whole of the book depended on his acceptance, because later he helped Jin accept himself, and like
I chose the same page as Shannon, and she talked about it earlier. It was the same. It was the page of the hand and the black thing with the pea stain on it and stuff. And I just thought it was a good way to illustrate how the god had the power over everybody else and was like at the top, and it was just a good reality check for the Monkey King. And yeah, she kind of said it.
Discuss the emotional and behavioral changes of Jin and the Monkey King throughout the novel. How do they respond and react to their environment